the beginning of the story, we see a group of NASA scientists conducting experiments on Mars and collecting soil samples. Suddenly, one of the crew members notices something. When he looks up, he sees a massive storm approaching across the Martian surface. The group's captain and the rest of the crew assess the storm. One of the crew members insists they should complete their mission, but the captain disagrees. Soon after, the captain gathers her entire crew and orders them to head toward the space shuttle. The crew members slowly begin making their way through the storm toward the shuttle. The shuttle pilot keeps updating the captain about the dangers of the storm while trying to stabilize the shuttle. Amid the violent winds, a heavy object breaks off and hits one of the crew members, throwing him far away. The rest of the crew panics, and the captain orders everyone to get back to the shuttle immediately. One by one, they struggle through the storm and manage to board the shuttle. The captain tries to locate the missing crew member, but due to the intense storm and poor visibility, she fails and is forced to return. The pilot asks the captain for permission to launch the shuttle. After a moment of hesitation, the captain gives the order, and the shuttle takes off. Back on Earth, NASA's director holds a press conference and announces that one of the crew members has died on Mars. When morning comes on Mars, we see that the man who was hit by the debris, Mark Watney, regains consciousness. He's badly injured, with a metal rod impaled in his abdomen, causing him excruciating pain. With great effort, he frees himself and makes his way to the habitat chamber. Inside, he removes his space suit and, summoning all his courage, pulls the metal rod out of his stomach, screaming in agony as he does so. He then patches up his wound to stop the bleeding. However, he realizes that a small piece of metal is still lodged inside. Determined, he performs a minor surgery on himself using a pair of scissors, removes the remaining fragment, and stitches the wound shut. Afterward, he feels some relief and begins to think about his next move. He opens the storage cabinets and checks the available food supplies. While eating, he drops a few food packets and starts noting down exactly what and how much he has left. Later, when he uses the washroom, he suddenly gets an idea. He opens a cabinet and finds a pack of potatoes. The next morning, he collects all the waste, cleans off the dust from the solar panels, and brings small amounts of Martian soil into the chamber. He spreads the soil across a large section of the floor, mixes it with the waste to create fertilizer, and plants the potato pieces in it to start growing food. Then, he attempts an experiment to create water, but it fails disastrously, causing a small explosion and injuring him. Despite the setback, he doesn't give up. He repeats the experiment, and this time, succeeds. After some days, he sees a small green sprout emerge from the soil, his first sign of life on Mars. Meanwhile, on Earth, at NASA's Research Center, a young woman analyzes recent satellite images of Mars. She notices something unusual. Objects and equipment seem to have moved from their original positions. Shocked, she calls in her seniors, who study the images carefully. They are astonished to realize, for the first time, that Mark Watney is alive. Then we see Mark Watney, who had been growing potatoes, pulling one of the plants out of the soil, and to his delight, he finds real potatoes growing on it. Excited, he uses those potatoes to plant even more. Afterward, he begins to think about how he can somehow send a signal to Earth to let them know he's still alive. He starts experimenting and eventually manages to send a signal to NASA. The people on Earth receive his signal and send one back. When Mark receives their reply, he becomes overjoyed. Finally, Earth knows he's alive. Later, we see him sitting in his rover, trying to access the communication system. By luck and persistence, he successfully establishes contact with NASA. The NASA team receives his message and celebrates the breakthrough with joy. Meanwhile, the captain who had left Mars with the rest of the crew sits sadly, burdened by the loss. At that moment, NASA sends her a video message revealing that Mark Watney is alive. Hearing this, the entire crew is shocked and emotional. Next, we see Mark entering the habitat chamber, but due to a pressure leak, the chamber explodes with a loud blast. Mark is thrown by the explosion, and his helmet cracks in the middle, causing his oxygen to leak. In a panic, he quickly seals the crack with tape to stop the oxygen from escaping. He then rushes to check the area where he had planted his potatoes, only to find everything destroyed, reduced to ashes. Heartbroken and frustrated, he sits inside the rover and screams in anger and despair. After some time, he reestablishes contact with his crew members aboard the spaceship. Talking to them lifts his spirits a little. The next morning, he removes all the burned soil from the chamber, seals it off with a plastic sheet, and tapes it shut. Now lost deep in thought, he checks his remaining food supplies and makes notes of everything he has left. NASA, monitoring his situation, decides to send him new supplies via a rocket. The rocket is successfully launched, and everyone at NASA celebrates, but their happiness doesn't last long. Due to a technical failure, the rocket explodes shortly after takeoff, leaving the entire NASA team devastated once again. Despite the setback, NASA's scientists continue searching for a new solution to rescue Mark Watney. Meanwhile, aboard the spaceship, the crew holds a meeting. The captain asks the team if they should risk everything to go back and rescue Mark. Every member agrees without hesitation. NASA sends Mark new coordinates, instructing him to move toward a specific location where a rocket awaits. Mark begins preparing his rover for the long journey. Before the rescue mission, the spaceship crew members talk to their families, unsure if they will ever return alive. Soon after, NASA successfully launches another rocket carrying supplies for the returning crew. This time, the mission goes perfectly, and everyone at NASA celebrates. One of the crew members from the spare shuttle goes outside and manually guides the incoming rocket. Following his instructions, all the supplies and food are safely transferred to the spare shuttle. Finally, the day arrives when Mark Watney begins his journey toward the coordinates provided by NASA. Before leaving, he shuts down all the systems and departs the habitat. After many days of travel, he reaches the designated location, where a rocket is waiting for him. He climbs inside the rocket and powers up the system. However, there's a problem. The rocket doesn't have enough power to reach orbit. To fix this, Mark ejects several parts of the rocket and throws out all unnecessary equipment to make it lighter. Then, he covers the top of the rocket with a large fabric sheet. Back on Earth, everyone at NASA is excited and happy that the rescue mission for Mark Watney is finally underway. Mark, now with a long beard and messy hair, shaves and trims his hair. Then he puts on his space suit and establishes contact with his captain. The captain gives him a few critical instructions. Moments later, we see Mark's rocket launch from Mars at an incredible speed. Because of the high G-force, Mark loses consciousness for a while. When he wakes up, the NASA team on Earth is overjoyed, but there's still one more problem. The main shuttle speed is too high for a safe rendezvous. To solve this, one of the crew members prepares a small bomb, and another crew member detonates it at a specific section of the spacecraft. The explosion slows the shuttle down enough to make the rescue possible. Next, we see the captain sitting in a space chair, using a rope to try and reach Mark's capsule, but the rope turns out to be too short. Seeing this, Mark cuts a small hole in his glove to create a pressure jet, using the escaping air to propel himself forward. Within moments, the captain manages to grab Mark Watney's hand. She then informs NASA that they've successfully rescued him. Everyone at NASA cheers with joy, and the entire world, watching the event live, celebrates the incredible moment. Afterward, Mark returns inside the shuttle, reunites with his crew, and everyone feels an overwhelming sense of relief and happiness. In the final scene, we see Mark Watney back on Earth. now working as a professor at NASA. He walks into a large lecture hall filled with students and gives an inspiring talk about survival and perseverance. And with that, the movie comes to an end. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more gripping movie explanations like this.